We know this business is loaded with competitors and copycats, and we are very proud and extremely excited to be one of, if not the premier sports betting information provider in North America. From a massive library of free picks and handicapping videos, daily shows, podcasts, and articles, our free live odds service, a team of the nation's finest sports handicappers supported with top-rated customer service, we pride ourselves on being the leaders in our industry, always looking to evolve and stay multiple steps ahead of our competitors. With that being said, we truly do want to let you know we appreciate your patronage. Moving forward, 7-day all-access packages will be reduced from $119 to just $99, and our 30-day all-access packages are also being slashed moving forward, going from $349 to under $10 a day at only $299. Our new pricing is already active and available just by going to your favorite handicappers homepage right now.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back right here to WagerTalk TV. It is Monday. It is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. That means every single play is listed for just $9. I'm Andrew McInnis. I have Carmine Bianco with me. Just the two of us here on the show today. Just one game, the Edmonton Oilers, New York Rangers. We'll break down a few games for tomorrow as well. We'll get into that on the show. Going to just kind of recap what we've learned in the NHL and just kind of maybe talk some futures, talk about New Year's, and everything else in between. So, Carmine Bianco, I got to use this joke, man. I haven't seen you in a year. How you doing?
I have not argued with you in a year, or Prez for that matter. But good, man. I want to wish everyone out there a happy New Year. Hopefully, you guys had a good time. Mine was pretty much non-eventful. We went out for dinner on New Year's Eve. A really nice Italian restaurant. The owner's a really cool dude. Unfortunately, the one thing that the only mistake I made, Andrew, is my wife's not a drinker, but she loves tequila, and the owner shows me this brand new bottle that he imported in, Azul Ultra, and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. I think at the end of dinner, bring her a shot of that. I didn't know the bottle was $2,200 and a shot was $300 for a shot of tequila. It was absolutely insane, but it's for my wife, so it was a good thing. But I started the year down 300 already. Other than that, it was good to actually get out because while this show is going on right now, our government here, we're not going to get political, but our government here looks like they're going to shut down the restaurant industry again. So I'm not a happy man today, but luckily sports is still around, so that'll keep us going. And yesterday was a good football day for me. Not a lot of soccer this weekend, but some good results. But football, 5% winner on the Chargers yesterday, a couple of other winners on the Titans and KC over. Only the horrible Dallas Cowboys getting annihilated by Arizona, my only loss on the football card yesterday. So on to hockey. I passed on hockey yesterday, but we're playing hockey tonight.
Oh, man, Carm, I passed on hockey yesterday as well. And I'll tell you, yesterday was pretty much the last day for that, theory of a team, first game back or first few games back even. Pittsburgh Penguins and San Jose Sharks. What was it, six goals for the Penguins in the first period? 5 goals? Man, that was the only play I really thought about was that under. And those are the ones you hate to see because it slapped me right in the face right in the first period. Happy you had a good time with your wife, though. Obviously, that's an expensive shot, but you only live once, and you had to try it. So, it's one of those things, Carm, where when you're out there and you see a new thing and you start talking with the waiter about it, you're already screwed because you already started talking about it. You're thinking about it on your brain. You're going to buy it. I know what you're going to do. And the second you started talking about it with him, you're probably going to buy it. But just so you know, Carm, there's a beautiful province a little more east of you that isn't going into lockdown that you can move into. You can find an ocean anywhere in the summer, a lot of nice patios for drinking. Feel free to move out east for a little bit if you want, because we aren't locking down.
No, I'm moving. I'm going to live in one of the cabanas at Stadium Swim at Circa Hotel and Casino because the cabanas are heated. They have 6 pools that are also heated. So I'm going to message Jeffrey Benson at Circa or Kevin Stevenson at the D Hotel and maybe just move to Vegas for 3, 4, 5 months. Basically the rest of the NHL hockey season and just watch games in the sports book. My wife can work as long as there's a good internet feed. She can work. She can do her job over Wi-Fi, and I can record from VSiN Studios if they'll let me, and do puck time from there. So that might be the way to go.
Let me know how that conversation goes with the wife. I look forward to hearing. Hey, we're moving to a cabana. All right. So Edmonton and New York, just the one game today. We've got San Jose and the Red Wings talking about as well. And the Flyers and the Ducks. We'll discuss. Those two games are taking place tomorrow. Once again, just the one game today. I have a few props I'll be looking at in our first game, but let's jump into it. Let's start things off here with our only game on today's card, the Edmonton Oilers minus 125 road favorites at the New York Rangers. Rangers plus 105 here. The total here is 6.5. We're starting to see more 6.5s now, Carmen. At the start of the year, it was all 5.5, 6 is a rare 6.5. Starting to see more of these 6.5s, but we do have some COVID protocol to talk about. We do have some injury stuff to talk about. We also have an Oilers team that, as you know, my 5% play a couple days ago, is really kind of choking. And then they did it again in their next game here. What are your thoughts on this game and kind of the two teams right now with their roster breakdowns?
It's tough, Andrew. I think, I don't think the Oilers are choking. I think that game against the Devils was just one of those pond hockey games per se. And in all honesty, it was a bad break at the end of the game. They had chances to clear the puck, didn't. The Devils score, with under a minute left to send that game into overtime, and then it's where bets go to die for the most part in OT or shootout, where it's a skills competition. But there's still a lot of positive signs from the Oilers. I think the thing that hurt the Oilers team is, and we talked about it, is after that long losing streak, they put a couple good wins together. And I get it, it was Seattle and the Columbus Blue Jackets, but winning brings on winning. And they win those two games. They look like they're set to put together a run. And then lo and behold, we have a shutdown and they're off for 11 days. They come back and they play a St. Louis team who are playing very good hockey. The shutdown didn't seem to hurt St. Louis. Look what they did to the Minnesota Wild in that game as well too. So St. Louis is playing well, and then they have the game against New Jersey, and then they played against a New York Islanders team that I said would start to string some wins together. So it's tough, but they picked up points. It's still a point in each of their last two games, and now they play a Rangers team that are playing their third in 4 nights, their fourth in 6 nights, and 3 very tough games for them. They played the Panthers and back-to-back against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and now they get what should be a high-flying Oilers team, and it's not going to be Shea Stricken in net tonight, I don't believe. I think it's going to be Georgiev in net tonight, and you got Panarin out, which is a big miss for this Rangers team. They're still a very good team, but this is the reason why, if you're looking at the lines and you're wondering why are the Edmonton Oilers favored, it's for much of what I've just said right now. I think if you look at what has happened, you can sort of piece it together. I like the Oilers tonight. I'm going to take the Oilers tonight. It won't be up and available for purchase at WagerTalk, but it's going to be a client play. So I'm putting that out there. I'm going to take the Oilers minus 125 tonight. No opinion on the total here. I just don't know which way this is going to go, but I do like the Oilers tonight.
Awesome stuff, Carm. And I agree with a lot of stuff you just said, which is always nice, but also tough for me to break down the game as well, because I kind of want to just echo the things that you said there. But I guess one thing I will say is that, the kind of the playing the same team back-to-back times, like New York Rangers did with the Tampa Bay Lightning, that can be tough, Carm, a lot, for a lot of teams. I always talk about how the advancement of film, checking out film, these players are on the bench with their iPads. The improvement you can make from one game to the next, as far as your system goes, as far as defense goes, it's actually unbelievable the changes you can make. I don't think that, if you're playing a team like, a bottom feeder in the league, things are going to be able to change for that team from one game to the next. But two talented teams like New York and Tampa Bay going head to head, 2 straight games. And to see New York pull out the victories in different ways in both games is very impressive. Also, Vasilevsky was back for Tampa Bay, and he got lit up by the Rangers. So, I don't usually use the whole flat spot scenario, but could we argue that one team might be just a tad more desperate right now? I understand that, they got points. The Oilers got points. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. And I'm definitely mad because I had the Oilers in regulation against the Devils. But, back-to-back games, they get points. So back-to-back games, they just can't come out with the win here. We got the Rangers, 2 straight wins, impressive wins. One's a close one, one's a blowout here. And no Breadman, no Artemi Panarin for them. And like you said, goaltending, we're not quite sure exactly what we're going to see. It just kind of adds up to be a spot here for this Edmonton Oilers team here. I think it's a good spot for them on the East Coast, and I think the Rangers have been playing some competitive hockey, obviously against the defending back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, 2 straight games against them. That has to wear on you. I know you don't really agree with me as much as a desperate spot for the Oilers here, but obviously 2 straight games against Tampa, successful ones for New York. Could it be a flat spot?
No, I'm not really sure about flat spots. I do think. Listen, I'm happy about the fact that Mike Smith is back. He's had 2 very good seasons, but his first couple of games, they've kind of left him out to dry in those games. Do I think this is going to be anything like the game that got played back in the first week of November when these 2 teams met in Edmonton? I don't. That game, if you remember, the Rangers held a 4-1 lead in that game. That game ended up 6-5 in OT, in extra time, with the Oilers winning that game, and it was Koskinen in net. They've got to be better in front of Smith. You can't be the. I hate to use this analogy and bring Toronto into this, but you can't be the Toronto of 2 or 3 years past, where you just tried to outscore teams and you left Freddie Anderson out to dry. You got to play better in front of Smith and still find a way to score. I don't know. You look at it, and as far as like flat spots and maybe like the Rangers, 2 big wins over Tampa Bay. I actually thought Tampa Bay would exact a little bit of revenge with Vasilevsky, who had a 7-0 December heading into that game against the Rangers, but they just didn't show up. The first score I checked, it was already 3-0 in that game for the Rangers. But I'm hopeful of an Edmonton win tonight. I think at the end of the day, you get the backup goalie. If it's not Koskinen in net tonight, you have an Edmonton team that I think is playing better than what their results are showing. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, losses are losses. You pick up a point, it's still a loss in that column. You need to be stringing wins together. And they look like a team that was about to string wins together. It's like another dumb analogy, but you're on the highway, you're zipping along, you're going to get to where you're supposed to go, and then some guy cuts in front of you and starts going 90 kilometers an hour, and you're like, yo, dude, come on, man, get out of my way. And that's what the pause did to the Edmonton Oilers. 11 days when they looked like they were going to start to string some wins together, and all of a sudden it gets shut down, and they just haven't gotten back up to that full speed again. Let's see if they can do it tonight.
And I remember in years past, we were both really high on a team like the New York Islanders in the playoffs. And we look at certain teams like the Carolina Hurricanes. You and I always preach about how they have 4 lines that play defense. They have depth that can score, but they take care of the puck. They make the ice very small. One thing I have noticed about the Edmonton Oilers lately is that, Buster used the expression pond hockey last week on the show. And I'm not going to say they play pond hockey, but they play the fast style of hockey where it's up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think it's because the players are so trigger happy. There's so much talent on that ice that they don't really maintain possession, Carm, when they're in the offensive zone. I'd say within 6-7 seconds or, 2 or 3 seconds, when they're in the offensive zone, they're usually getting a shot off from somewhere, whether it's a one-timer from the slot, a wrist shot from the point, a wraparound from behind the net. There's usually a rush to get the shot off. These teams go up and down, up and down. If you're interested in fast-paced hockey, I know there's no Panarin tonight, but there's a talented team here with multiple guys that can do damage for New York. This should be an entertaining game. I think that we can get a 5.5 in-game, Carm. Screw the 6.5. We'll wait it out, slow things down a little bit in the first period, and then try and jump in on that over 5.5. That's my game plan as far as that total goes. I think both these teams want to have a good start to the game. I'm going to just jump in, try and get it over 5.5 at a decent price. That's where I'm looking as far as the total. A few props I wanted to point out and bring up to everybody. Zach Hyman to score a goal, Carm. He's listed at plus 180 here. He's been involved in a lot of action for them. He's gotten quite a few assists. Their last several games, he's been involved. But when you look at it right now, the prices for these key guys to score goals, it's absolutely absurd, Carm. We have minus 110 for Leon Draisaitl to get a goal tonight, plus 100 for Connor McDavid to get a goal. Chris Kreider, he's plus 130. But you've got Zach Hyman plus 180 on the exact same top line with Puljujarvi and Connor McDavid. It just doesn't really add up. I'm scratching my head here, wondering how one player on one line's plus 100, the other player is plus 180. I think McDavid sets up Hyman tonight for a goal, and he gets that plus 180. Cashes that ticket for us. As far as a shots on goal prop, looking at McDavid over 3.5 shots, minus 125. Right now, for most players in the league, it's good to see 2 shots per game, Carm, 3 shots maybe. McDavid said, hold my beer. I'll give you 5 shots a game. This guy makes it look easy, getting 4, 5, 6 shots. And I think that after the 2 losses, playing against a New York team that could be tired, I think we'll see him get some shots. I also expect to see a player like Ryan Strome get on the board. I'm expecting a big night from him. So looking at some over point props or shots on goal props as well. Just a few things I wanted to look at as far as the prop market goes.
Yeah, and those are good, Andrew. And it's a good point. And it's like when you talk about, not only shot props, but if you look at, say, power play points, the fact that if you subscribe to the theory of, and again, these are world-class athletes, but you've subscribed to the theory that this is the 3rd game in 4 nights for the Rangers, 4th game in 6 nights that this team, there might be some fatigue, after that time off, or it's a little sloppy. They pick up some penalties. That Oilers power play is a dangerous one. Both Draisaitl and McDavid to get a over half a point, so basically to register a point on the power play, are minus 120 there. I usually like the plus props, like Joe Ranieri and I cashed in on last year in the playoffs with Tampa Bay. It seemed like you could get plus money throughout the playoffs on Tampa Bay on the power play, and it was just rinse and repeat. Just kept betting the same guys, and we were making money off of it. But those are probably 2 props that I'll take, because they very well could hit. If they score a power play goal, it's literally going to be Draisaitl from McDavid or McDavid from Draisaitl on that power play, and you cash 2 props at once. So that's probably a couple that I'll take.
Good stuff. Yeah, those worked really well in the playoffs, and those are awesome for the Edmonton Oilers. They're number 1 in the league in power play efficiency. I think they're just chomping at the bit. Whenever they see that referee's arms go up, they just want to get that power play. They know how capable they are of cashing in. But it's a good point you make, Carm. Real quick, we do have 2 more games to get into, but I just want to discuss it because you mentioned about pricing, and I talked about this on our prop show every Friday. We do Prop It Up with Andy Lang and mid-major Matt. We talk about pricing with props, and it's an interesting argument and discussion because, like I said, McDavid's plus 100 to score a goal. Guys like Draisaitl's minus 110 to score a goal. This might not be the team to look in the bargain bin for the goal scorers. The power play points, absolutely good plus price. Over 1.5 points, an assist prop maybe. But Edmonton might not be that team to look at the bargain bin for those plus prices. Zach Hyman's on the first line. That's why I'm looking at him plus 180. But the guys that score the goals are those guys that are minus 110 and plus 100 to score the goals. Some teams, like the San Jose Sharks and the Detroit Red Wings, it's a little bit more sporadic. And that's our segue here for a pick'em game tomorrow taking place with the Sharks and the Red Wings. Totals at 6 in this game. This is an example of 2 teams that I would go down the depth chart trying to find some goal scorers because it's not as consistent game in, game out. San Jose, man, they've played some high-scoring games, Carm, since the NHL has returned here. We saw an 8-7 win against Arizona, and then yesterday an 8-5 loss against the Pittsburgh Penguins. What's going on with the Sharks team?
I don't know what's going on with the Sharks team. They're playing pond hockey, but they're they're not doing very well on them, allowing 7 goals to Arizona and then 8 yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was yesterday. That's not good hockey. It's not a great way to start a road trip. Now they play a Detroit team where, I'm gonna be quick on this one before I throw it back to you, Andrew. But I think Detroit is the play here. I think Detroit's the play here. I think the under is the player. Detroit's been very good at home. Let's forget about the 5-1 loss to the Bruins. The Bruins are making up those games and moving up the standings, much like the New York Islanders. They played, I think, 5 games less than a lot of the teams in front of them. So they're going to steadily try and climb back up into that playoff race, get into that 8th and 7th spot. But you look at Detroit over their last 10 games, their only losses are to the Bruins, to the Washington Capitals, and Nashville Predators, 3 teams that are playing some very good hockey. They've won 7 other games, and there's a lot of and a lot of those games, they've kept their opponents to 2 goals or less in those games. They're just playing very well right now. I think they're not ready to be a playoff team as of yet, and we're going to see a little bit of regression to the mean for this Detroit team, but they're still going to beat the teams that I think they should beat. And I think the Sharks are one of those teams, especially if they get into a game where it's a 3-2 game or a 4-1 type of game. Don't get into a shootout. They're not going to win games in shootouts, even though they've got some talent up front. Detroit for me, Andrew. Detroit and the under are the 2 plays I like on this one.
I think it's funny because people will look at you and I and say, "Are you serious? You're taking an under with the Sharks team based on what you've seen in the last couple of games?" But I like that play as well, and I think that to your point, breaking down the schedule and who Detroit's played well against and who they haven't played well against, at least it's been against really good teams that they've played a little bit poorly against, or defensively that haven't played as well. But I feel like they can contain the San Jose Sharks. I do find this price quite interesting at a pick'em. I would have liked to have the Wings at a little bit of a dog price, but I think it's priced correctly here. I got to shout out Johnny Detroit, him and his family, and I'm pretty sure Bobby Leagues as well. They got the season tickets now to the Red Wings, so they're done with the Lions. The Lions have broke their heart too many times. They're joining the Red Wings, and yesterday they go to a game, Carm, and a blowout against the Boston Bruins. So sorry, Johnny. It seems like all of your Detroit teams are just letting you down. But I'm right there with you on Detroit for tomorrow. I kind of like what I'm seeing from this team. Also, let's look at their games, like you said, Carm. Look at some of the stuff they've been doing against teams that aren't named, like you said, the Bruins, the Capitals, the Colorado Avalanche. When they're playing against some other teams like the Kraken or teams that I don't really have that rank too high in my power ratings, they're getting the job done. But not just that, they're containing them and playing good defensively. And their goaltending is underrated too. I think they actually have some pretty good goalies, and they've kept them in quite a few games as well. And I mentioned at the top, kind of trying to segue us into this game about the goal scorers. One thing I have liked about the Red Wings is that you really don't know who's going to show up every night, but not in a bad way. You just might see one young player all of a sudden score a big goal, or a vet, score a nice grinder goal right in front of the net in the paint. You don't really know what you're going to get from the Red Wings, but I think that might be a good thing. You don't really have 1 or 2 players you're heavily relying on, versus maybe that might be more the case with the San Jose Sharks. If you don't get a goal past the first, 4 or 5 guys, that might be a problem for your scoring. So you and I are on the same page in this one, Carm, on the Detroit Red Wings. And hopefully the next time Johnny goes, he can see a win.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I get it. You look at the San Jose's numbers, and there's just a lot of high-scoring games. You're like, how can you possibly take the under in this one? But I expect to see 2 good goalies in net, and that doesn't always doesn't always mean it's an under. But Reimer's last game was that 8-7 win, and his goals against average was 1.99 heading into that game against Arizona that they won 8-7, a complete pond hockey game. He wasn't in goal for the 8-5 game, and then you have Nedeljkovic, who we know in Carolina was good. You know what I mean? Like for Detroit. Still, while not ultra impressive, he's 9-7 for Detroit this year, 2.78 goals against average, .916 save percentage. So he hasn't been bad. He was on the wrong end of that 5-1 loss, obviously, to the Bruins, but Detroit seems to they're not ready to compete. It looks like, if you look at the results with the upper sort of echelon teams, the Colorados and the Washingtons and Bostons, if you're ready to put Boston in that category. But they're beating, like you said, Andrew, the teams that they should be beating. Like the Seattle Kraken and some of the other games. This is a game where they should be winning, and the price is just low enough where I want to take them. If Detroit was any higher than this, they're like minus 130, minus 140, I wouldn't take them. But if you can get them at minus 110, minus 115, I'm all for it.
Well, let's see how much the numbers change tomorrow, Carm. We've discussed this game now. We've given out our picks. We're both publicly backing this Red Wings team tomorrow. Let's see what happens overnight with the line moves, and we'll see what happens here with that game. We won't discuss it on Puck Time, obviously, because we talked about it today. There's obviously a few more games that we'll be able to discuss on the show tomorrow, but those are our thoughts on that one. Carm, let's talk about $9 Monday. We have one more game to discuss. Let's talk about $9 Monday. What you have up. Obviously, there's only one game today in the NHL. We already talked about it. You like the Oilers. I think the Oilers are going to have a good game as well. What's going on for you otherwise at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, just a couple plays. They go off in an hour's time. A couple games in soccer today, one in EPL, one in Spain's La Liga. Those are up. You get them both for $9, and I will have another 5% play for NFL. It'll be loaded today on $9 Mondays. So check back this afternoon there, and you can get that one. I hope it's as easy as the Chargers were this past weekend, and let's see if we can continue this a little bit of a good start to 2022. Let's roll it through January at least.
Awesome. Yeah, congrats on the great weekend in the NFL. And Carm, I'm actually joining you in some La Liga action in Spain today. So after the show, I'll have to run my pick by you and see, hopefully, if we're on the same page in that game. But for me today, I'm looking at some NHL futures that I have planned to release out to clients, make the playoffs, don't make the playoffs, East futures, West futures, that kind of stuff. I'm not really a future player prior to the season. I know everyone says that's when you can get the best numbers. I like to see a little bit of action before I put my money down on a future. And that's what I'm going to do today with just one game on the slate for the NHL. And that'll be up for purchase for guys to grab today. And obviously, it'll be taken down tomorrow or the next day when those numbers move based on the results for the next couple of days. So you guys can grab those future wagers in a package today over at WagerTalk. And Carm, I'm not sure how much NBA you're doing. I know you're doing a little bit. Same thing with me. I don't know how those guys do it because we're breaking down the quarantine and we're breaking down injuries in the NHL. To everybody out there, for me, my NBA today will probably be up around 5 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Eastern. It depends when we get the information out there. Joe Ranieri and his crew do a great job on the NBA tip-off show, breaking that down. I believe it's around 4 o'clock Eastern time. But, man, those lineups are released so late. The information is released so late. It's hard to handicap those games early. But luckily for us, we do have some European football action during the day to keep us busy while we wait for those NBA lineups to come out. Let's keep this train on the tracks, though. Philadelphia Flyers and the Anaheim Ducks. It's our last game we'll discuss on the day here. The Anaheim Ducks are minus 115. Philadelphia Flyers minus 105 in this game. And Carm, I'll say one of the bets I looked at for this the futures market and make the playoffs, don't make the playoffs. Talked about it with Prez on Friday. Was the Anaheim Ducks to not make the playoffs at plus 112. Talk about getting an in-season wager like that for a team I thought was overachieving quite a bit. A couple key guys out of their lineup, and they started to play some elite teams. Plus 112 value. If I would have given that to you, before the season started, you probably would have, been like, yeah, sign me up here. Now we're in season at plus 112 here for the Anaheim Ducks to not make the playoffs. What were your thoughts on that, and your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I like your bet there. I was looking at the future markets. Like, there's not much as far as ultra value on, like, let's say, winning the cup, and it's just it almost feels kind of dicey on the winning the cup ones because you don't know what is happening for the next 6 months with teams, with some of these games being postponed and so on. But the only one, if I was looking at a futures bet, Andrew, to win the cup, and they're just not high enough for me right now, would be the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 750. I'm seeing that a couple of books. Once that they're playing some good hockey, and when Eichel gets into that lineup, they're just going to be that much more dangerous. That power play is going to be better. Their top two lines are going to be so much stronger and better. It's just, but I want more than 750. Whenever I play a future, and it's worked for me fantastically. A couple of years ago with the St. Louis Blues, going back 3 years, where there were a great price, or in soccer with Chelsea to win Champions League. I always look for a future bet that is higher than 10-1, usually 12-1 or higher, with the opinion that if I expect them to go deep, I can always hedge out for a profit. I have no problem with people saying, "Oh, I'm not a gardener. I don't hedge. I ride it to the end." My idea is to make money. And if your money is hedging a bet, then you hedge a bet. It's easier to hedge 12-1 or higher. You know what I mean? I gave out to my clients Italy to win the Euros, 12-1. And in the finals, I gave them a hedge opportunity. So it's all about finding the right price and hedging. If the Vegas Golden Knights, you give me 10-1 in the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm going to take them to win the cup because I know that they'll make a deep run into the playoffs. They're going to make it into the playoffs, number one, and they'll make a deep run. Problem is, they're probably going to have to get through a team like Colorado to get there. But absent of that, I think they're going to make a very deep run, and that price is good. If you're happy with just sticking with it and not hedging, to take the 750 on the Knights. Getting back to this game, Andrew, I'm not going to take either side. I'm leaning to the under again in this game, under 5.5. Anaheim Ducks, 7-2-1 to the under their last 10. Gibson played his, I had the under in the Vegas Golden Knights Anaheim game. Gibson played his eyeballs out because Vegas could have had 6 on him. That game finishes 3-1, stays under the total of 6. And then another good performance in a losing cause against the Colorado Avalanche for Anaheim. They're regressing back to, Andrew, what we saw last year with this team, finding it hard to score goals, but their goaltending is standing on its head. So give me the under 5.5 here. They're playing the Flyers. The only good thing coming out of Philadelphia right now is the Eagles are in the playoffs.
Yes, they are. And our producer, Dan, is very, very excited about it. Just check his Twitter if you don't believe me right now. The Eagles are in the playoffs. I'm not so sure the Flyers will be in the playoffs. It's funny, though, Carm, because I open up by talking down about the Anaheim Ducks, saying I placed a wager on them to not make the playoffs. But here I am about to recommend a bet on them for tomorrow. So, hey, they aren't going to lose every game the rest of the season. I feel like this is one they will win here. Look, they've played some really tough teams. You and I talk about scheduling quite a bit here on the show. They've played Colorado, Vegas, a Vancouver team that's played really, really well. Recently, you've got a Philadelphia team recently. They're West Coast, LA, San Jose, Seattle. I feel like this is not a good spot here for them. And I feel like getting Carter Hart back, potentially getting a few players back in the lineup, they still have that question mark next to their name. It just, to me, at home here for the Anaheim Ducks, I think it's a good spot for them. I feel like they'll get the win. And the Philadelphia Flyers, you talked about it a lot last year, remember, and I'll talk about it here as well. I trust them more at home. There's some teams that are home-away splits. You just want to dominantly bet on that home team. And I like to look at the Philadelphia Flyers to bet on them at home, not as much on the road there. Also, we talked about props for the last game, Carm, but I had somebody DMing me over the weekend about these props. And, I used to bet these props as well, but not a lot of people could see these. Talking about the goalie save props. And you can also find the team shots on goal props or goalie saves. These are becoming a lot more widely available lately, which is awesome news. And the funny part about it is that just like anything, you can find trends. Just like any bet, prop, league, you can find trends. Anaheim Duck goaltenders check that out for the second half or the second little part of this season after the pause for the NHL. Looking at some goaltenders like Anaheim or even Detroit or even Montreal. Some of these teams that are, bottom feeders, or not even just bottom feeders, that just get a lot of shots against them. You can capitalize just on betting their goalie to make a lot of saves. Any thoughts on that, Carmen? It's a pretty cool prop, I think.
Yeah, I find sometimes because a lot of the books that I have don't always have those, and maybe I need to expand them for props. I like the props that you mentioned. It's kind of like you look at the Vegas Golden Knights, and I see this a lot on social media. I don't understand how the Vegas Golden Knights lost. They had 45 shots on net. It seems like the Golden Knights are always in that 40 plus shot category. And I'm not even sure, Andrew, you might know this, what the shot props are for the Golden Knights. They're just a team that fires the puck at the net a lot. They got a lot of offensive zone pressure, a lot of shots on goal. So maybe I will delve into the prop market later on in this season, but I'm leaving that to you, the prop master, and the guys on the prop show. I'll take some of these power play props because I'm going to stick to the ones that are tried, tested, and true in that sense.
Well, they've treated you well, so I don't blame you for sticking to those. They've definitely cashed in and made you some money, and I'll be definitely looking towards those, especially at the end of the season and in the playoffs as well. Jonathan Marchessault, talk about the Vegas Golden Knights. He's a guy I've looked at a lot, Carm. Jonathan Marchessault, over 2.5 shots on goal. Him and Mark Stone, it's unbelievable. Numbers always 2.5 for those two guys. I'm willing to go up to minus 140 with them. Talk about line movement and number movement. You'll even see movement in these props. Like I saw Marchessault last week opened up over 2.5 shots, minus 140. That number shot up to minus 155, 160 by puck drop for the guy to get 3 shots on goal. Ends up getting 4 shots in that game. So it's a very interesting market, and there's so many props out there available. And again, right now with all that stuff being available, let's say you have a game. Let's pick them. Both games, minus 110, minus 110. Or you have one team that's minus 180. You could bet on a couple props for that team that are minus 110 and avoid even worrying about that minus 180 price. And that's kind of what I've liked to do a little bit, especially when I see huge favorites. But let's jump into best bets, Carm, for today's show. Obviously, it was just one game. Carm and I have both found a best bet for today's game, and I'll start with you to go over your best bet. Any final words as far as promotional stuff goes?
Yeah, again, just a couple plays up in the soccer this afternoon. They go actually in less than an hour, so that first game kicks off. So you can get those for $9 over at WagerTalk. And like I said, a little later on this afternoon, because I want to add the write-up to it, I'll have a 5% play up in the NFL. You can get that for $9, and that'll stay at $9 only till midnight tonight before it goes back to the regular pricing. As far as a play, because I like the Oilers tonight, I am going to take the Oilers in the first period of this game. You can get that at minus 110. It's a goaltending thing. It's the fact that it's the third game in 4 nights for the Rangers off of 3 very tough games, 4 and 6 nights as well too. And I just think that this is one of those spots where I think it's a good spot for the Edmonton Oilers. You can get them, like I said, at minus 110. This is one of those games, Andrew, I'm going to throw out that plus 1,800 on a 5-2 result for the Edmonton Oilers exact score. I'm going to put a little bit of pizza money on it. I'm not going to put any beer money on it because it's dry January for me. 2 days in, actually 3 days in now, and haven't had a beer even on NFL Sunday. So that kind of plus 1,800, 5-2 final result, but minus 110 on the Oilers first period as your show best bet.
That is a big, big price. 5-2 exact score, and a little less bowl with that minus 110 Oilers first period. Wow. And dry January, Carm. Okay, so if anybody sees Carm being a little irritable on the show in the second or third week of the month, you start to know why. For me, Carm, I think it would be the coffee. I don't even think it would be the booze or drinking. I think it would be coffee. You can't take away coffee from me for over a month. I'd probably snap and lose my mind. One thing I wanted to point out before I get to my best bet, it looks like I saw a tweet and an announcement that Connor McDavid's not on the ice for morning skate. That could just be for precautionary reasons. So my best bet was going to be over 3.5 shots on goal for Connor McDavid. Looking at this spot for the New York Rangers, a lot of games recently for them, a lot of really competitive games against a key team like the Tampa Bay Lightning, which they were successful in. I feel like there will be some fatigue factor. I feel like although the Oilers got a point in their last 2 games, they would have liked to have got a W in those. And McDavid's been carrying the load. So even if he doesn't get points or goals, I do believe he gets shots tonight if he's out there. If he's not out there, don't forget about that Zach Hyman prop, guys, plus 180. If McDavid doesn't play, I probably like that prop even more. Hyman plus 180 to score a goal up there on the top line. So hopefully it's just precautionary reasons with McDavid. But if you guys cannot get that in on McDavid over 3.5 shots on goal, check out Zach Hyman to score a goal at a great plus 180 price. Hopefully that was just morning skate news, Carm. And I'm just kind of being a little bit panicked right now. But hopefully that's all settled in and we'll see McDavid on the ice tonight. But Carmine's looking at Edmonton in the first period. I have Connor McDavid over 3.5 shots on goal, minus 125. We are back tomorrow, live puck time here, 11 a.m. Eastern on WagerTalk TV. Plenty more games to discuss. We got Don Buster joining us as usual on Tuesday. Make sure you check out Carmine over at WagerTalk.com, wt.buzz/CB. I'm over there as well at WagerTalk.com. On behalf of Carm, I'm Andrew. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price. Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at